I'll just do a brief recap to set this one up and then begin the war with the immediate aftermath of the Alpha Relay incident. So as we discussed previously, the Alpha Relay incident would still take place. Construction of the Crucible would have begun just afterwards and would have been easily completed by the time the Reapers attacked, and possibly even upgraded owing to the Council races having at least 6 months notice, depending on the Reaper strategy. The Quarians developed Railzor's weapon during the 6-month period between arrival and the Reaper invasion, along with the handheld laser targeting system. The invasion of the Bahak system was a surprise move that went undetected by the Council in Mass Effect 2, so I assume the same in this scenario as well. The Council would know the Reapers are in the Bahak system after the incident, but with the relay destroyed, they cannot focus the Crucible's energy through it and target the system directly. Unfortunately, the Reapers are virtually undetectable as they transition through deep space, and their whereabouts will be unknown, giving them an advantage against the Council for as long as they remain hidden. And while the discovery of the technology that identifies indoctrinated agents would have been weeding out infiltrators, it wouldn't have any effect on Cerberus supporters who are not indoctrinated. They would relay their information back to the Elusive Man, who would relay it back to the Reapers, letting them know the Council has been preparing for their invasion and have completed the Crucible. The Reapers would therefore be cautious in their approach, not moving until they were ready to strike. Attacking Ka-Shan or accessing the relay network would be unwise. The Catalyst explained they had seen the Crucible before and likely knew what it could do to them. Approaching through a relay would allow the Council to fire the Crucible while their fleets were concentrated there. So let's start with the interim period before the Reapers attack. In this scenario, the war begins with preemptive strikes against the Geth in the Perseus Vale shortly after the Alpha Relay incident, exacting a small to medium price on the Quarian and Council fleets against a united Geth who were subjugated by the heretic virus, owing to Legion never discovering it. The strikes would turn into a massacre of all Geth inside the Vale, but outside the Vale they were able to avoid genocide because the heretic base survived, undetected by Legion. The Quarians would be forced to conduct a cleanup operation against Geth using the heretic base as a staging point for their attacks. Tali, who would in my opinion not have been sent to Haestrom after her squad was wiped out on Freedom's Progress without Shepard's help, and losing Vitor in the process, possibly even to Miranda and Jacob, would have the opportunity to reconnect with the Normandy crew after almost 3 years. Tali may still decide to assist Shepard after the Quarians stripped her of her initial command and then later exiled her. For the purposes of this scenario, I will assume that Tali is comfortable leaving Rannoch, knowing her place is on a warship with her old friends, and returns to the new Normandy alongside Garrus, the Vermar survivor, and Liara. The defeat of the Reaper destroyer at the hands of the fleets, along with the testing of the handheld orbital strike laser, this time by Council forces, would be instrumental in the coming battles. The Council and the Quarians would look to repair their ships and gather themselves for the coming effort. Rannoch would not be a defensible planet at this point, and the Quarians would remain vulnerable with Geth guerrilla attacks on shipping going in and out of the Vale. It's at this point we have to consider Cerberus and the Elusive Man's reaction. Udina, according to the Codex, was indoctrinated. The Citadel coup was his attempt at sending the human fleets directly to Earth in a suicidal charge against the Reapers. But the ability to detect indoctrinated agents means that Udina has been detected and removed from his position on the Council, and the Elusive Man, who wants the Reapers to win, would have to launch his coup immediately before the Reapers arrived, or risk them being destroyed by the Crucible. Without Udina to betray the Council, the job of seizing the Citadel would be difficult, having to rely on brute force. The Cerberus fleets would have to come into play, possibly with the help of the Batarians. Without the Vermar survivor or Thane, and with the addition of Batarian spy cells, the Council would be killed by Kailang or Ka-Shan early on in the fighting, paralyzing Council forces just as the Reapers arrive. And if Cerberus can take the station, the Reapers can stroll in and shut down the relay network while preventing the use of the Crucible entirely. The Reapers' strategy, now that they are aware of the Crucible, would look to find and destroy it as quickly as possible. With Cerberus seizing large areas of the Citadel, it would make sense then that they would strike Palaven and Earth as they did in ME3 to tie down the Alliance Centurion fleets, with the main host cutting a direct path towards the Citadel and the Catalyst, bypassing or manipulating the largely indoctrinated Batarians and choosing to re-engage the Quarians before they can get settled in on Rannoch. Striking the Citadel immediately while Cerberus attempts to seize the station would be a death blow for the galactic community if the Reapers can pull it off, allowing them to destroy the Crucible and shut down the relay network, continuing their harvest as always, system by system, relay by relay. The arrival of the Reaper fleets in support of Cerberus and the Batarians places the mission in jeopardy. Council would have no choice but to bring all fleets to the Citadel or abandon the Crucible altogether, effectively a death sentence for the galaxy. The Quarians would not fare well on their own, and large areas of Rannoch, Earth and Palaven would be destroyed as the Reapers tied down Council forces. On Tuchanka, Rex, having demanded a cure after Malin's research was discovered, is finally allowed to deploy the genophage cure, but without a very desperate Primarch Victus, and with a Crucible to rely on as well, I think the Council would deploy a sabotage cure. Rex's spies would tell him about this, like they did in ME3. Rex, not being a complete fool, would wait till the end of the war to look for Krogan retribution and refuse to fight for the Council. But the Krogan homeworld is in a desperate position. With a Reaper destroyer poisoning the atmosphere, Rachni troops landing, no air support or any support for that matter other than the Vorcha they can muster from Heshtok, it's difficult to imagine the Krogan could take the Reaper out. They have been outwitted and placed in check. The Quarians for their part would find themselves battling the Geth again, but under the direct control of the Reapers, albeit without a Geth fleet to fight with after the battle for Rannoch. Asari space remains a secondary priority for the Reapers, as do the Solarians. They seem to have a lack of respect for both species in ME2 and ME3, saving the Solarian homeworld for last, even bypassing it to attack the Hanar homeworld first, and pushing the Asari into ceasefires and negotiations. I can't imagine them being a priority now, with reinforced defenses and fleets. The primary concern would always be defeating the multi-species fleet and the Citadel fleet guarding the Citadel. Fortress Sol and the Turian forces would offer much heavier resistance, but the Reapers, having bypassed the Batarians, would be in a position to supply more ships to the war effort, and with the ultimate goal being to seize the Citadel before the Crucible can be used against them, the war would become a race against time, rather than a final stand. The second battle of the Citadel would for all intents and purposes become the final battle to see off the Reapers. What's left of the United Fleets would be fighting not to deliver the Crucible, but to hold it for as long as possible, while Shepard, and what forces he can muster, attempt to stop the coup and fire the Crucible from inside the Citadel. Shepard is not partly synthetic and no longer has the benefit of an AI in his squad, having never been rebuilt by Cerberus. As much as the Alliance can upgrade its troops, they're still only human, and infiltrating into the Citadel would be costly for the Council with Cerberus in control of large areas of the station, especially if they can get hold of the station's defences or close the Citadel arms, but they were unsuccessful in doing that in ME3, so we could expect a portion of any landing force to arrive on the station even if the arms were later closed. With their help I can easily see Shepard, not so easily, making it to the Crucible. Not for the first time, the fate of the galaxy would depend on Commander Shepard and their squad being good enough to stop an assault on the Citadel station.